Hello, hello. Jola Pypno-Crapanzano here with Coaching Journey with Jola. Welcome. And in today's show, my friends, I have a beautiful treat for you. A gorgeous soul from south of France, my dear friend, Juanita Viale. Welcome, Juanita. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Happy to be here and thank you for having me today.
Yes, so we are actually going to have a recorded session instead of live because the gods of internet decided not to let us flow with the waves of internet. But regardless, we're going to have some super important messages for you guys and will help you understand certain things about this difficult time. We'll hopefully give you some insights and strategies how get through this time easier from mindset point of view, because guess what, Juanita is a consultant and how should I say it, marketing and mindset consultant. So she'll help you actually get through these difficult moments in the life that you're going through right now, right?
Yeah,
Juanita
absolutely.
is
Try
actually
to.
from California. You'll hear she has less accent than I do, even though she is from France. She's from LA. She got her degree in nutrition and food science from University of San Diego, right?
San Diego State University.
Yes.
Yes.
And she actually for last 20 years lives abroad. So she can tell that she is a global citizen. I call it a citizen of the world who got to live on 3 continents, America, and then you got South America, Costa Rica, Central America, right? And then you have
Yeah,
now
correct.
France. And
Yeah.
I said, always, I try to find the similarities and common ground with my guests. And I'm like, okay, so I started in Europe, jump across the big pond to US, and she just decided to go the opposite way. So we totally missed each other. But universe decided to put us together through this amazing project. One, your wellness guide to body, mind, and soul. And Juanita and I are co-authors of this amazing.
It's just a tiny little town, dirt roads, really known for surfing. And there was really no newspapers, no kind of communication. And in those days, the news traveled quite quickly. And so I decided, all right, it's time for a publication to be born. And fast forward 17 years later, it's still in print, although we are finally putting it to bed. And for me, it served as a community platform because Tamarindo is a community that, my heart is there. And I wanted some kind of platform that it could serve the community for all of its projects and the people and, protecting the environment, which I'm very, and something I'm very passionate about. And so, but I didn't want to just be another American arriving to Central America, putting something only in English. I felt, this is, I want to respect the country. It's a Spanish speaking country. I speak Spanish myself. So I wanted both, the Costa Rican people and English speaking people to be able to read it. So yeah. I was quite honored and that it lasted so long. And it really helped move a lot of projects forward. So that is something that I have been really proud of myself for starting.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to have in your accomplishments on your menu of your, amazing triumphs in life, because truly to be helpful to communities, like even if in a foreign country, amazing. I went to Costa Rica 1 year on vacation. It's a very special place, it really
is.
It feels like after traveling to Bali, they know it the same, but they have this nativeness, that connection to nature, that the wild forest and those warm sort. It's a very special place. So how long you lived there?
I lived there for 10 years.
10 years, and then you moved to France. Yes.
Yes, we moved to France because when my second child Taylor was born, she was born with some complications and suffered a massive brain hemorrhage. Obviously, living on the beach in the jungle with dirt roads is not exactly the best place to raise a child with special needs. So she was very fragile at the time, and the doctor suggested that if I had the opportunity to leave, it would probably be best because she would require a lot of infrastructure, a lot of therapy. And so at the time, my ex and I, either we moved to the States or to the south of France. And I had been an expat by that time, for 10 years. And why not? Let's move to the south of France. And it was a lot easier for our family situation, for work and for everything. So we ended up on his grandfather's vineyard in Nice, where I spent 12 years there, and really blessed and thankful to the country of France for basically opening their arms, to us. And they have taken immaculate care, and really Taylor survival I attribute to the medical system here. It's just been amazing, a really wonderful experience.
So amazing.
Yeah.
My heart goes to you, and I'm really, really grateful. We had this conversation prior to this broadcast that, thank you for sharing so vulnerably your story. Not everyone is really willing to go deep about their own, situation, private life, and so on. So I appreciate that very much. And I know that a lot of people can identify with your story. I was going to ask you why you chose France, and you just answered the question, because obviously, the health system in the United States, is famous in the world for being amazing and so on. So, I was just wondering. Anyway, so right now you live in France, and you have again a global clients. They not just US, they not just France. They from Netherlands, they from England, they from Italy, Monaco. Right? You have them nice collection and help not just individuals, entrepreneurs, but also companies and firms. But
correct.
if you were to say, when was the first time in your life that you actually knew that there was a need for you to help others? Obviously you started with that deep passion for wellness and health and nutrition. So there was something there already, kind of.
Right. The basic theme throughout my professional career has been listening, because, with my degree in food science and nutrition, I spent numerous hours counseling a lot of people, nutrition counseling. And then when I moved to Costa Rica, then with the newspaper, basically, I spent most of my time just listening to people, interviewing them, listening to their stories, good and the bad. And after Taylor was born, my listening skills really were heightened, because I had to listen to all the doctors and pay attention and see how she was reacting. And so really all those experiences have honed my intrinsic listening skills. And because of that, I feel like my intuition is it's just super keen. And so I think one of the benefits that all of those experience gave to me was that it taught me how to give people the space when they are sharing their stories with me. Because, sometimes we listen to other people, but if we got our own issues in our head, then we're not truly listening. We're not fully present.
Oh,
And so
100%. My goodness. Amen to that. Yes.
And so, this is a beautiful part of the world with such an international community. And because of the nature of that, not everyone is speaking English, or English is not their mother tongue. And so I seem to attract the clients that, want to express themselves fully in English. And, so it's just, trying to take their message and give it shape and help them develop their own message, and giving them the space to do that. So with
Yes, in the book, I remember you mentioned this so vividly, and it was those couple things that comes out of what you just said. Number one, how you always feel that the listening is the crucial part. Because like you said, if you're not present, if you try to immediately come up with their response to someone, you're not really fully in tune with what the person was trying to tell you. And the second piece is like with your daughter, you had to more listen or watch for expressions of her face, of those almost hard to notice things that she was trying to energetically express to you, because she's unable to
Correct.
say those things. She only can say
Yes,
words,
correct.
right? So that listening piece, I can only imagine how incredibly intuitive you are right now. You can probably sense things before people tell them. But I love when you say
Yeah,
this
it's true.
presence. The presence is everything, because you know how many times you ask a person a question, and or rather they ask you a question and you try to tell them and they already not listening, they're already somewhere else, and that's crazy.
Correct. Yes, yes. And the main thing with communication is when, when you're in a dialogue and you really want to connect with someone, you need to be able to be in a space where you can feel what they're saying, not just understand what they're saying, what their words mean, but the intention and feeling behind those words. So that's why it is
Said, but they never
yes.
forget how you make them feel, and this is so true. This is
It
just
it is really true because when people are sometimes when people are sharing their stories, they're also formulating the way they feel about their story. You know, so many times people are emotionally attached and actually have a belief system based on their past, based on all their past experiences, and they seem to think that that's who they are. But what we are is actually, we're just translators of experience, and so where I could say I'm eternally heartbroken because my daughter is handicapped. No, that was a traumatic experience in my life. It's a very challenging experience to this day with her care. But for me, I was just, a channel of that experience. And, she has touched my life as much as I have touched hers. And really, for me, that's our purpose here. We're all touching each other's lives, and we are all translating our experiences through our stories. But just sometimes when we're telling that story, we're still trying to figure that story out
yes.
because we have all those emotional attachments to the past.
Yes, and I remember in a chapter you mentioned that other story that when you were in a hospital and there was this other girl that, please tell that story,
Yes,
because I feel
yes,
this
that
like
was
really land right in the heart, because sometimes we don't understand what was my purpose, why this happened to me, why, and then you immediately, boom, that was it, that was exactly why. So please say it, because it's such a fun, phenomenal story.
I would say, besides the birth of both of my children, that was one of my most defining moments, because here, we just had a week left to go before we were getting released from the hospital. And that unit, there was only 4 cribs there. So we had one and the rest were empty. And I thought, oh, sweet. It's going to be an easy week. We're going to be out of here and fine. And next thing I know, because the hospital didn't have enough place, they brought in 2 children, one 4-year-old little girl who was physically abused by her mother's boyfriend, and another 1-year-old little boy who he had cigarette burns, but he just looked like he really wasn't he wasn't cared for. And the little girl is the one, I mean, of course, seeing both children like that, this came after 5 months of being at Children's Hospital in Costa Rica. And by that time, I thought I had already seen it all. And this brought it to a whole other level that I had never even imagined. And so when I saw this little girl, and she had bruises just everywhere, just horrible, the most horrible sight, and she didn't stop screaming. And we were only separated by a glass partition. Her crib was there, so I had her face like this for that whole week. And she was screaming nonstop. And I don't know how Taylor didn't wake up, because you could hear this child all the way down the hall. And I literally thought I was in hell. I thought, oh, after all this,
Yeah.
with my daughter surviving, which was a miracle in itself, why this? Why now? Why me? And I was just wrapped up in this whirlwind of uh, just wondering why, because it was just awful. And, you know, at that moment, I could understand medical problems with children and traumas. But this kind of trauma that's brought on, sexual trauma brought on by other human beings, is to me one of just the worst of the worst when it comes to human behavior.
Yeah.
And so, so when I quieted myself down, I just sat down and just tried to gather myself. And I just started to look around, and then it hit me. I looked around, I said, I'm here because nobody else is here. And for that split second, and you know, I think the little girl noticed my shift because she stopped crying and she looking at me with big eyes. And I thought, I'm here because she needs a mother.
Someone to her.
That little boy needs a mother. My daughter needs, you know, me as her mother. So I thought, okay, I'm here to serve. My purpose here is to be everybody's mother in this room, paying attention to what they're saying, what they're doing. If I hear something, if they don't look it, reporting it to the nurses, reporting it to the police. And from that moment, I said, okay, I'm on duty. And miraculously, that is what helped me get through one of the worst weeks I had at the hospital.
Yeah.
And so I just started playing puppets. I wasn't allowed to give her my toys, but I gave her Taylor's toys anyway because she had nothing. And we just started to play just so that she can disconnect from the horrific trauma that she had been through, and, you know, just doing something to help her.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And I can so totally feel it. This is something that we actually tell people in coaching all the time, that once you take the focus from you, oh, me, everything happened. I'm like such a poor baby, da, da, da. Once you start focusing on others and give that, you know, the life of service, and like you basically try to help others, immediately things start looking up for you because you now are there for others, and your problems all of a sudden become way less, you know, important.
Yeah, because I
yeah.
I think there's a certain, we have a tendency to be a little bit self-centered in our thinking that everything is happening to us. And because of that, it blinds us from seeing that side of, we are here to serve others. Maybe it's happening to me for a reason, but I won't be able to see that reason if I keep thinking that it's all about me, because it's not.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, and I think this is so relevant, even though it's a totally different situation, what's happening right now. We had an amazing conversation a couple of days ago of how we are all in it together. So now this blame, it cannot even happen, because like it happens to me, it happens to you, it happens to millions and millions of people across the globe. And yet you're asking, why this is happening to us, why this is well, it is happening for a reason. And we came up with multiple reasons throughout the 3 weeks of me doing these interviews, from, you know, Mother Nature trying to tell us that, yeah, it's time to slow the F down, try to focus on what matters really, stop that rat race, quiet down, get back to yourself, like start noticing things, appreciating things. And I could go on and on and on, right? So just be grateful that you're alive, that you're healthy. Like, come on now, those are the things, this was happening for that reason. And I can't like really say it enough, that I feel incredible sense of calm. Like I can't even explain this to people because I feel guilty.
So if I surrender that thought of, I need a reason, why is this happening? Why is this happening to the world? Is it for the animals, for the planet, for, you know, for whatever, for humanity? But I believe that whatever purpose that this situation with the pandemic is going on, if we again quiet our minds, we will have our answers. We will have our answers because we're not, you know, clogging up our pipe with so many whys and whys. No, just get quiet, and this moment is serving us. It's serving us individually. It's serving us as humanity, collectively, spiritually. There's so many things. So I think it's just a matter of shifting our perspective and just kind of allowing it.
Yeah.
And the other day I posted on my Facebook feed that I was struggling with my daughter because France just extended their lockdown for another month. And as she lives in a hospital for severely handicapped children, she will rest in confinement even after the lockdown is lifted in May. And so I was doing the math going, well, it's going to be a month before I can see her. And even after the lockdown is lifted, I'm not even sure if I will be able to visit her if she's still in confinement. So I was feeling very emotional, really struggling with those feelings. But then again, it's just saying, all right, I'm just going to allow it. I know she's in the best place where she can be. She has the best medical care. I am so grateful, eternally grateful to all those people taking good care of her. And just, finding that better thought, that better space within myself to just move past that moment. And I think just by getting quiet, we're all going to be able to get past this moment.
Yes, I want to again come to two pieces from what we just said. Number one is that element of surrender, trust that I will be taken care of, that there is this higher power, whatever you believe in it, universe, God, whatever that may be. There's something bigger than you. If you don't understand it, then I guess you're not the right person for the show. Basta. Okay, that's it. But the point is, there is obviously something there. So just let it go. And this is so hard for many people. And it was so hard for me for years. I was always that pragmatic person, need to see black and white, what the next step is, in control.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
me, like a totally new ball game. Like last 5 years, and particularly last 2 years, I feel like I am getting that to the next level on consciousness, and I guess I was ready now to be open for all these messages. And some people will never be, and that's okay too. But if you can actually open yourself to all of this. And the next thing that I want to swiftly go into is the power and importance of our thoughts and words. And you again, such a marvelous job in the chapter describing how everything that we say, every single word has a power that if we don't pay attention, and I honestly was the most guilty person of it. Like I would say things, beat myself up with my own words. And our mind, like you say, believes what we say it. Stage is yours, Juanita, because you are saying this so nicely. Please go on.
Yeah, I mean, your brain will believe whatever you tell it, regardless if the experience has happened or not. And so, for example, the best way I can explain is when you go to the supermarket to buy some fruit, are you going to pick the fruit that looks spoiled, that looks old, that doesn't look clean? No, you're going to go and pick the most beautiful fruit that you can find from the selection. And the same goes with our words, because when we start speaking with words that are negative, you are naturally bringing in the negative energy that each word carries. I mean, our language is our currency exchange for energy. Everything is energy in this world. And so our words literally have a biological, biochemical effect on our bodies. And so after a while, when you get into this habit of negative thinking, negative words, negative conversations, negative commentary, negative opinions, even sarcastic jokes sometimes, just making fun of other people just to make yourself feel better. All that has an effect on your body, and ultimately your body becomes addicted to it, because it creates it releases all these hormones and biochemicals that at the end that your body becomes the subconscious mind. So then it starts, when you are not speaking negatively, then your body's like wanting it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's being able to do the pattern interrupt, to cut this kind of behavior, because eventually all the words that you speak and that you think will affect the choices that you make. and that will eventually affect the way your life unfolds. And so, you know, what I feel right now that the world needs is a healing vocabulary, you know, based in love and based in positive trust and faith. And if we start having more conversations based with these kinds of with this kind of dialogue, the transformation would be enormous.
Yeah.
But again, people are holding on to their emotional pain and living in there rather than trying to make the shift. Because sometimes when you're in pain, and I totally get it, when you're in a lot of pain, to think anything other than that pain, almost impossible.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's all about how we feel. All of our experiences are based on how we are feeling, and how we are feeling is based on our thoughts.
Yeah. The power is crazy. Like you give another great example, the amount of our attention and the way we look at certain things and the environment and everything is so how we actually understand. So you gave an example of this plank. If you had a plank of wood on your floor, you would walk on it without even thinking, with closed eyes probably, right?
Correct.
The same
Correct.
plank between two high rises, you 99.9% would not, because you would feel you're gonna fall off. Because
it's your perspective. Yeah,
perspective, right? And then another thing is like how you say how important is that power of the words, how they throw this energy out there. You may not know it, but how many times it is you walk into a certain room and there are positive people laughing and happy, and you just immediately get into that amazing happy mood. On the other hand, you walk to some people's houses and you feel that draining energy, or you have people who call you and you like dreading to pick up the phone because you know they're gonna suck every bite of your energy out. Those are the energy vampire people who just like will give it to me, give it to me. And that, you know, the best way is just to try to slowly eliminate those people out of your life, even if they're close to you. But yeah, those are the things you can naturally sense the energy, and that's for me. I'm very sensitive to that. Like that's one thing that I can sense it, baby.
Yeah, you kind of have to be
Yeah,
we kind of have to be, I in the book I mentioned, we kind of have to be like vocabulary snobs almost. I mean, it's not that you can't be truthful and authentic, but also, you know, it's just recognizing our natural tendencies and becoming aware of them. And I'll give you an example. Like when you go to, whether you're going to a presentation or going to like a cocktail or some kind of meeting, and people like to break the ice. And this is where people tend to use more of the sarcasm and the negative. You know, you talk about the news of the day, which is usually negative, and you start making jokes about it. And they're, you know, the little hits of who said this, and oh, he's horrible at that. And then next thing you know, you're enraptured in this negative vortex of low energy conversation.
Yeah.
And all because you're trying to break the ice. You're trying to connect with someone. But in order for you to connect with someone, it doesn't need to come from a negative place. It can come from a neutral place. And so usually it's because of our nervousness of being accepted. If I just meet you like I just met you a few minutes ago, you know, maybe perhaps I might be a little nervous or feeling, you know, you're someone new to me. I don't know how you're viewing me. So all this goes on in our heads, and the easiest go-to is sarcasm, you know, and talking about the negative. And so these are like little areas in our life where I think we can practice to become more mindful. And, you know, kind of asking ourselves, I mean, is this really necessary? Do I really need to be saying this? I mean, number one, is it true? And is it really serving a purpose?
Yeah.
You know,
and exactly that, what you say, we get like addicted to that negativity, like that. Therefore, the news and media, they feed on this, and that's why everything is so negatively charged, because they know that people got so like they won't even listen to positive news because they want to hear more. Give me more, give me more. Like even if something dramatic happened in the world, it could be a hurricane, it could be this. people for first few days going to be like sucking it all, and then it becomes like the new norm. Then they move on. They want another big thing to be addicted to, because it's like, that's just very interesting how that works.
I can tell you, as a former journalist, it's all about the headline. And so, you know, after years of, and you like every, you know, if you in the morning you look at CNN or you look at any other of the newspapers and you look at the headlines, and the more sensational the headlines, the more wow factor. And so we almost get a little desensitized with all this, because then the next one has to be bigger and more powerful than the last headline. But I try to transform that when I'm talking about personal stories with my clients, and the stories that they're trying to get out to the world is, what's your headline? How would you like your headline to read? And so sometimes it's just, you know, trying to put our lives into the context that we really know is the fullest expression of ourselves.
Yeah, they're living from our highest self. And I love this.
And so
you bring
again, exactly.
You bring a couple of really awesome exercises in the book, and I would like you to share the one, or with in this part we give something for people to go back to the book, but this one, I think it was so powerful to like set that intention and have you know, and how you go through it with this exercise. I made myself some notes on the chapter, and it was like beautifully said, how you start with, you know, setting the intention and leaving the space in your head, empty space, and then let it set. Will you guide us through this exercise? Like, give it a time to process, so that it's like nurtured, like
through the intention setting.
Yes, and then so you can go on with it like powerfully.
Normally, you know, sometimes when I'm setting intentions in the morning for my day, the first thing that I like to do is just obviously get still within my mind, and kind of doing a little body scan, including my mind. So wherever I feel that there's unease, or something's hurting me, or there's a thought that's bothering me, or it's just anything that's standing out, I take note of it. I write it down. And then, you know, when I get into the quiet space, I say to myself, all right, I want to heal this part. It is my intention to bring some peace into this part of me. And lately I've been actually trying to put my hand on where it is that I want some peace and comfort, because that just brings, again, your attention to it a little bit more. And so then and just the most important thing is feeling the feeling of what that peace would feel like. How would you feel if you didn't have that thought? How would you feel if you got into a fight with your best friend? How would you feel what would that feeling of peace between you and your best friend feel like? And, you know, using this kind of emotion to really charge yourself, so that you can remind yourself throughout the day what that feels like. So one of the important things I like to do after I do my intention setting is to go back to see what I wrote, and to write what I'm feeling again, you know, so that I can see the shift.
Outlook,
Right, exactly. Because it's, you know, we're kind of like cause and effect individuals, you know, and so our logical minds are always wanting explanation, but it's also learning from our feelings too, you know. And so the more clear we are with what our subconscious and our conscious mind is trying to tell us, then we can do these practices so that we can heal ourselves. And then if we're feeling during the day like you're off in alignment, then you can come back and see what you wrote down. Oh yeah, okay, this is what I was feeling in that moment. You know, they say, like, when you know, a lot of professional athletes, they do a lot of, you know, visualization techniques so that, you
Crossing
know,
the finish line or something, like they already
right, exact. Tiger Woods hitting the sweet
yeah,
spot on the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
golf ball, and that's kind of the same concept. Is we want to be able to connect quickly to that feeling of what the peaceful feeling is that we want, that we, you know, and so for me, intention setting is so important because if you can get it, if you can do it first thing in the morning, then your day is guided by it,
Yeah.
and you can come back to it and you can keep it active. And over a period of time, when you repeat certain behaviors, then it just becomes, you know, it becomes habit, and then you literally change your
Yeah.
life.
In my high performance coaching, which we have from, I learned it from Bernard Bouchard, is he has this idea of triggers. So he uses, for example, a trigger of the door. Once he walks through the door is a trigger. He will, from that point on, will serve from his highest self, will be his highest person for these people that he about to meet in this room. The other thing is you can use the triggers if you have negative thoughts, and you know these negative thoughts can come at any given time. Wake up in the morning, wake up in the middle of the night, during the day. Obviously, right now it's so bad out there, especially like in New York, New Jersey, where I live. If I was to let all these negative thoughts come to me, I would not have this conversation with you. I would be unable, I would be paralyzed
Yeah,
by them. So the thing is,
yeah.
you gotta be able, and it takes lots of work if you're not used to it, but be able to immediately replace the negative thoughts by others, because there's, in our brain is room only for one sort of thought. We can have both negative and positive at the same time.
Right. Usually it's just finding that one thought just a little bit lighter,
Yes.
you know, a little bit not so specific, you know, something else, diverting your attention, getting up, physically moving. Because again, like I said, the body is addicted to these negative thoughts. So if you can just get up and turn the music on, start dancing, raise your dopamine levels,
Yes.
and, you know, you will feel better.
Physical
But
movement, removing yourself from that environment where this thought comes. There's so many beautiful things we can teach people. And then one last thing that I want to really leave people with today's, and I think this was one of the most powerful ones, and again it comes close to this message that I try to share. Right now it's time to skill up, get better at things. Instead of like feeling sorry for yourself, use this time to get better at something, no
absolutely.
matter what it is. Be a better mom, be a better wife, be a better at computer skill, be better at book reading, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Cook dish that you never cooked, but do skill up, right? And you say that from all that process of thinking, we got to come up with inspired action. So how do you get to that inspired action, which will make you do the things that you wanted to do, but perhaps you feel paralyzed?
Well, one of the things, one of the results that I see coming from this pandemic that people are really struggling with is the feeling of just being. Because, you know, we're all used to our daily routines and moving at a very fast pace. And now that kind of the world has stopped, and we're like, oh, now we really have to deal with
Yeah.
ourselves. And part of that is just being. Part of that is like, okay, I'm not going to do, I mean, yes, having a routine to keep yourself occupied during the day is great, but that manic routine where you feel guilty just to sit down and have a nice cup of tea, oh, because I could be doing 10 other things and I should be doing that. Let me comment on that. My biggest pet peeve, the word that I cannot support, is should. Because people say, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should be doing that. And you're basically held prisoner to what you should be doing with a lot of guilt. And it just weighs heavily on you. And you multiply that day after day, week after week, month after month. And then you just feel like you're not getting anywhere. In fact, you feel like you're drowning. But if you replace that should with could is full of possibility. I could do that. I can go work out for 10 minutes. I can go take a nap. I can just sit here and watch some comedy on TV to raise my thoughts. You know, that's different. So there's these little shifts that you can do. And so anyhow, moving forward with inspired action, you need to put yourself into a place of nothingness first. You need to feel yourself. You need to get quiet. You need to, try to, even if you're in a small apartment or a big house or whatever, try to find or make a little place inside that is just for you, with maybe some of your favorite things, a little, even if it's just the bathroom, if you've got wild kids running on through the house, go someplace where you can be quiet for at least like 10 minutes and write down. Again, for me, it's writing everything down, all of our desires, wants, just getting what you have in your head onto paper. And then you will see after a while some patterns that will be developing. If everything that you're writing on paper is I should do this, should do that, and you're not feeling good about it, move those off the list. Find something, one thing that you can do, small thing that you can get accomplished. Because once you accomplish that, then you're like, oh, well, I've done that, I've accomplished something, and that will inspire you to maybe do something else. It'll inspire a different thought. And then you kind of have to get yourself into the mood. And whether, for me, the fastest way is music. I mean, that for me is the no-brainer. You put on some headphones, music, it's even more beautiful when you put on the headphones, listen to inspired music, write your thoughts down, write one thing that you want to get accomplished, that you would like to see unfold, what really matters to you. If it's work-wise, okay, what's the one thing I would like to see get done today? And talk nice to yourself. Because you're like, if you say to yourself, oh, I better get this done because otherwise this guy's going to be so mad at me, you've just loaded a whole bunch of negative energy onto that list.
Yeah.
But when you...
Yeah, I'm listening. I just wanted to say one thing, but I'm listening. See, this is listen before you say. I'm listening.
Yeah. No, so that was basically it. Is, it's don't fill your list with negative energy. When you write your list, write it from the perspective is, I would like to see this happen today. And just pick one small thing that you know that you can do, that you need to do. And once you do that, then the next, you've got the day. You've got it.
Yeah, I wanted to guys to bring to your attention how amazingly and peaceful and do you feel the energy coming from Juanita, how she just it's this positive, like a blanket, like a soft, cozy blanket, and I could just cuddle and cuddle right now. But the thing is, like, if people come, oh, I don't have that quiet time, like you mentioned, there's wild kids running all over the day. Well, then maybe you need to get up the half hour earlier when the whole house is sleeping, when this is the time when it's still maybe dark outside, but that time, the extra 15 minutes can change everything, right?
Everything.
Because
absolutely,
if we start the day with focusing, and again, that comes from my high performance teachings, if we start a day from focusing on us instead of reacting, oh no, yeah, if it's a busy day in the office, you start replying to emails. No. First start planning your own day, your own agenda, then start reacting to everybody else's. The whole thing changes then. The whole world.
Absolutely. It's kind of like, an interior designer. You design your home to the way, to your style, to the way you want to live. But somehow along the way in our professional careers, we kind of lose that internal interior design because we're so worried to meet the expectations of other people.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that most people appreciate you more when you are taking care of that self-love of your interior design.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
That goes. It's always like that. Like I've met many women who were like, "Oh, my husband doesn't appreciate me doing this, doing that, and I'm that always working and always doing, and don't have time for this, and I don't have time." I said, "Well, maybe just let's try to switch it out. Start." Have the time. Let's just focus on you, show love, and then maybe things will shift. But that's a different topic. Juanita, if you were to leave my audience, the viewers, with like a parting words of what would be your like words of wisdom for this trying time, for this difficult time of, global crisis, health crisis, and what would be your like coming from your heart? What would you tell people to do right now to get the easiest way through this time?
I would say, I would say is asking yourself, like when you're thinking, especially with the money, because the global economy is obviously getting tremendously affected by this, or it could be your health. When you find yourself thinking that negative thought, fear-based, anxiety ridden, just ask yourself, how would I feel without this thought? Because we are limiting ourselves so much from the richness of life from our negative thoughts. So if I ask myself, how would I feel without this negative thought? It kind of like brings you back, meaning like it's just a thought. It kind of puts it in its place. How would I feel if I didn't have this notebook? Or, it's an item, it's something. Yeah. It's not who you are. And so again, we are our lives, we live our lives as the fullest expression of ourselves. And so we need to just be really careful right now with our language, with our vocabulary, with expressing. It's okay to say, hey, I'm scared. We're all scared. But I'm not going to live in scared. I'm going to live in, perhaps the world will just blossom into something even greater than we could ever imagine. And just because I can't see it right now, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
obviously humanity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even if we only think about the things as humans, that we may be more in tuned in our world, just by being more sensitive to what's happening in the world, the world can become so much better place. Like, and as example, I went yesterday on a walk with my 19-year-old son, and doesn't happen very often, let's put it this way. He just, and we had amazing time to just like reconnect in nature for a couple hours walking. And to myself, oh my God, what happened? Like, I've been doing this for like a month now, walking out every single day for like those nature walks. We're still allowed to do that even though the parks are closed. And I said to myself, in a normal rat race, that's like a waste of time. Like, who has time to go outside and walk? I don't. I'm like running like a crazy person. And what you say now, you have no control over bad things. Replace it what you can control. Have these positive things. Just let that thing, okay, the thought came in, acknowledge it, release it, let go, focus on what you can control.
Exactly.
Get the best out of it, and surround yourself with people like Juanita. My goodness, like, Juanita, can I borrow you to my bedroom every night? You can whisper me some words of wisdom. I love it. I love it. What a wonderful, wonderful soul you are. I am so grateful for meeting you, even though virtually until today, and still today virtually. But I know that I have a deep belief in my heart, and I say it to all of authors, that wouldn't be wonderful like meet together and do this belated launching party, and just I travel to Europe often. Hopefully you come back to your motherland one day again. And if you're on the East Coast, please raise your hand. We'll catch up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I would love it. And if I'm down there, even launching party, not launching party, whatever, south of France, Italy, whatever, we're so nice to meet you and just hug and just exchange the positive vibes.
Likewise. There's so much to look forward to.
Yes,
there really is.
Yeah, I want to thank you so very much for your time, for sharing this wonderful knowledge of yours. Okay, we didn't go live, people didn't have chance to interact, but if anyone would like to contact you about your work, about your coaching, consulting, about sharing that gift of yours, maybe someone has issues of that nature that you have with your child and would like to get some insights on that, how they can find you. What's your website? What's your social media handles?
My website is madameviale.com. Madame spelled the French way, MADAME VIALE. gmail.com. My Facebook handle is Juanita Viale PR. And that's basically it. You can also find me on LinkedIn. And, you know, I appreciate anybody who needs to speak or wants to, you know, engage in some conversation about whatever's going on. More than welcome. My doors are open.
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you once again. You are a wonderful, wonderful person. So
Oh, you
please
too, Jola.
stay healthy and safe. And
Absolutely.
you know, then we don't know when, because that no one knows. We don't have a crystal ball, but it's going to happen, and that's what we need to believe and trust in. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
surrender and let go and feel
Let
how it
go.
goes with positive thoughts.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, really.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous, Jola.
Thanks so much. Ciao.
Okay. All right. Ciao, ciao. I think it's still recording.